stream. David Eickholt and myself back again, trying to take down the A&F podcast, who just dropped an episode right before this live stream went live. And that's why we're going live, so we can steal viewers from...
I was wondering if you were going to go there again, because I was just thinking about that like 5 minutes ago, if I should open up with another little thing.
I'm really excited to go and watch it. Contrary to, I guess, some people's beliefs, I guess.
Well, they were off last week too, so tension's been building.
Oh, they've been cooking this one up, man. And with the amount that they put into their episodes, the film, the production quality, the research, you would almost have to like take a week off if it was like,
well, especially if they're full-time guys and like they have a family and it's just those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got to get some sleep.
Yeah. So I hope that this is going out to the masses. We are on a different setup here for any of the walk-on army who is a little deeper into the Patreon game. We got 2 Patreon podcasts out yesterday on this same setup. I've moved myself up to my dining room, which has much better lighting than my office. I'm going to have to figure out some lighting for the office downstairs in the dungeon. I hope the sound is coming through okay. David should sound the same. And I hope the internet connection stays good. We're on a Wi-Fi instead of a wired connection. All of this, a concern that no one has or cares about except for me, who's running the show. I showed David, these are my notes today on my phone. I don't have a second monitor. All of this is happening because my PC of a decade, one that the University of Iowa actually paid for, David, back in 2015, early 2015, finally shit the bed on me. And
I didn't know that was 10 years old though when you prefaced it before the podcast.
Yeah, no, it's run its course. It's run its course. One of the more, I thought I found gold back in 2015. So this was probably something. This is a fun little flashback and insight into some being a Division I athlete. So when I got on campus, the Shabazz Napier thing hadn't happened, David.
Yeah,
and so we were still only being fed. This is going to sound very, very like coddled and
elitist.
Yeah, like we were only being fed 2 free meals a week. I understand, but compared to today's day and age, it's just wildly different. We were getting 2 meals a week from the team, and the walk-ons had to still pay for those meals. So I actually was not getting a single bit of food paid for, other than like the snacks that we got from the weight room. So my default, my standard of being a walk-on Division I athlete, I still felt like I was being given the world just to see my name on the jersey on Saturdays. And like I had a locker in the Iowa locker room, all this stuff. I felt very, very blessed, but I did not expect much. I did not as a walk-on at the time. So they eventually started giving us meals. And I'm sure that this tidbit was covered in the scholarship guy meeting that I was not privy to when I stepped on campus. And they don't just tell you that individually and run you through all the stuff, but the university will actually pay for, and I don't know what the rule is now or what the figure is, but at the time they would pay for up to $1,500 worth of school qualified electronics. Once you were on scholarship once you were on scholarship. So I was put on. I found this out from somebody else. No one told me. And I thought I walked into an absolute gold mine. So I went to Best Buy. The way they did it was they reimbursed you over a 3-month period through your scholarship check. So the check at the time was, I don't know, $1,500 a month.
Okay.
I went out to Best Buy, spent my $1,500 on this PC that shit the bed and a printer and I think one other thing. And the check for the next 3 months was like $2,000. And I thought I was like, this is the best. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened. Now guys are getting paid $100,000 a year as like a medium level guy on the team. So, times have changed. Hopefully those NIL reparations come back to me through this lawsuit that's supposed to be finished. Nonetheless, no one cares about that.
Do you have any idea what the figure could be?
Yeah. It's like, and this is for me. So everybody listening, take this into account. I'm like, I've got to be the bottom guy, right? Like now granted, I played for 4 years, so that helped, but I think 16 and 17 are the only years that qualify. Our estimate is like 35 or 40 grand.
Okay. I mean, I can see
that's
why
significant.
Waiting that out. Yeah, it is. I mean, that's big money.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Especially if you got 2 kids. I can't relate, but like,
amen, brother. Daycare's expensive. Food's expensive. So that is
wrong business.
That is big. And it's very, very nice that we are potentially probably going to get that, but we'll see. We're not here for that reason, though. We're here to recap the KF press conference, which I'm turning into like a post-game plus week, game week press conference. I like to go back and watch the post-game, which was an extra day ago since we played on Friday. They played on Friday at Rutgers.
It's just really turned into Kluver Eickholt Power Hour.
Yeah, 100%.
Honestly, I mean, last year it was much more like, okay, well, we're just going to do 20 minutes of KF, and now we just kind of ramble on.
Well, the people like it. The people wanted it. And you know what? This week didn't get as much out of the press conferences as I would have liked. I don't know if they're playing it.
Kirk probably had the shortest opening statement I've ever seen him have.
Yeah.
Into a game.
Went and watched Signetti's press conference. Those are dry. He reminds me of if Phil Parker was the head coach. That's how Phil's press conferences would go. And the one thing I took away from that was they do respect Iowa. Signetti respects Iowa. He respects Gronowski and his ability. Respects Weechen's ability. And went out of his way relative to as much as he gives away. He went out of his way to talk about how Iowa does not beat themselves and that they will have to go in and win this football game. Iowa's not going to give it to them. So that's what I got from that. Post-game from the other day was, we're happy to get the win. A couple questions about injury, but excited to, and this is sort of the sentiment that I'm going to bring to tonight's live stream as well for anybody who will catch the preview, is the sense I get, David, is that this was a big win as far as how it was done.
Yes.
I believe Coach, let's go to my makeshift notes over here. Coach said something along the lines of, this is a win that they had to go and take. They had to fight. It was gritty. They were happy that they could respond going down several times in this game. It's one that they had to go and get. And so is that the vibe that you felt being at the press conference this week? That this is a sort of a culture win, sort of a confidence win, if you will.
100%. I mean, we talked about going into the week, Tyler, they had to win this game. I mean, this was probably the biggest must-win game, fourth game of the season that Iowa's had in memory. Just from a standpoint, if you look at how the season and the schedule is going to continue to, progressively get tougher. Obviously, Indiana's Indiana. We'll get to that. But these are games Iowa just doesn't win typically. And it wasn't even the fact that it was a shootout. Tyler, they gave up 3 long touchdown drives to start the game. And Iowa responded every single time. Credit Weechen, by the way. The be able to punch him in the mouth first, I think, was absolutely massive. I think that kind of gave the offense some wiggle room and some breathing room a little bit. By the way, he might have had the straightest run on a kickoff return I've ever seen in my entire life.
So, fun fact, I timed it because I was this is what did he just run? And I know 100 yards isn't 100 meters, but I timed it as he took his couple gather steps and crossed out of the end zone on our side. And when he crossed the goal line, and he ran 100 yards in pads, slightly around an opposing team in 11.8 seconds. That's cooking, dude. I mean, that just, it really is he didn't have to do anything other than just be blazing fast. It was so impressive.
No. And I think the special teams needed that because, again, they're still kind of up and down, but the field goal block and the kick return, I mean, those are massive plays in the game. I mean, I think not the punt block, the field goal block. I mean, I think that kind of changed the course of the game. That really put the extra juice in Iowa's momentum. But Tyler, I mean, like I said, they responded. And now you can have some sort of confidence in the offense. Look, I get it. Rutgers defense is not good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're top 35, 50 defense. Okay. But their receivers are legit.
Wow.
I mean, their receivers are incredible. And Callie McManus, when he wasn't pressured, he was throwing some dimes. I mean, he looked like a different quarterback than I think we saw at Minnesota a few years ago. But again, I think you need to give credit to Phil Parker's defense. They dialed up the pressure, especially in that second half. And once he was pressured, that kind of changed the complexity of the game. But I agree with him. I mean, I think it's a culture win. I think Iowa desperately need to go out there and prove that, you know what? Hey, we can go up there and put up points. And it goes back to what we've talked about. You see significant progression in the passing offense week after week. Like they looked better than they did against UMass. And guess what? They finally threw the damn ball to Dayton Howard downfield. They got to do it again. It was a hell of a catch, by the way. Great ball by Gronowski. Was not even bad defense by the Rutgers guy either. Howard just made a terrific catch. It kind of gave me flashes of Brandon Smith against Penn State. Not quite as great as that one, but
damn close.
Go around. Yeah, I mean, I think it was an underrated grab.
Great throw, better catch.
Yeah,
the kind of thing that it's funny you bring that up, because in our recap, I actually brought that up to Kevin and Grant and said, I don't know if there's been a better contested grab since Smith's over the back catch against Penn State. I don't.
Really quick, Tyler. This is not Iowa football news, but
sure.
This will tease other news.
Breaking.
Just got a word that Iowa is trending for a certain 5-star prospect in women's basketball.
I was going to say in what sport?
Remember, there's a couple people we've talked about.
Well, yeah, you know what? What an unbelievable problem to have when you say that, and I don't know which of the 3 or 4 it could be. Right?
Well, you know what? HawkeyeInsider.com is a pretty great place to go, Tyler.
Ooh, hit them up.
Look at that. Look at this. Anyway, I apologize.
No, subscribe to Hawkeye Insider if you want the inside info.
I just got a text on that, and it's a pretty interesting deal. But I mean, anyway, to go back to it really quick, I want your opinion on this. By the way, did you get the chance to watch the cinematic recap they did of the Rutgers game?
So I was literally going to before this. I decided to look after my health, and I took a beautiful 10-minute walk before this podcast out in the sun. I was going to either watch that or go for a walk, and I'm going to watch it after this while I eat my lunch. I always love to throw on something for lunch up here in the living room, and the cinematic recap, I think it's like 13 minutes long or something. 15 minutes. They put together some unreal. By the way, if anybody's listening, gosh, I wish I knew their names. I follow them like sort of adjacently on Twitter. But the team inside Iowa football is doing some unbelievable shit. They put together some videos and some highlights that do not get nearly the amount of engagement or publicity that they should. And
Iowa has a top 5 media team in college sports, and it might even be far closer to 1 than it is 5.
They're making mini movies like that are unbelievable, and I don't know if those guys are getting paid enough. But
I got a story coming out later today about Mark Gronowski's sideline demeanor, as far as like he's the fire. And I asked Kirk about this.
I was gonna bring it up. Yeah.
And he said it kind of resembles somebody called Drew Tate. And it was kind of funny because I couldn't tell if he was calling me young or if he actually thought I remembered watching Drew Tate. I kind of couldn't tell what he was getting at, but he kind of because I did watch Drew Tate. I mean, I remember watching Iowa football.
Yeah, you and I would have been right on the sort of the front end of that, like from our memory standpoint.
Yes. 2000,
5th, 6th grade. That's about as deep as it goes when you can really start to think about like core memories.
I was at the Orange Bowl when the Brad Banks team though.
Wow.
I was there with my parents, but that's why, like I've said, I think Mark Gronowski is the most athletic quarterback they've had since Banks, and I kind of get an eye roll on it, but like he's more athletic than Beathard.
I disagree.
Beathard was better at escaping the pocket.
Yeah,
but an athletic, like you can get downfield physically, and I'm not saying one or the other is tougher.
Yeah,
I'm not discrediting CJ's toughness at all.
Well,
anyway, they don't know ball.
Yeah,
but like Gronowski's straight line speed and the way he can get off the pass in certain angles and just different things he does, I think there's an easy argument that he is the most athletic since Banks.
He's in the conversation for sure. Going to be a long time before somebody tops Brad Banks. That's not an argument at all. It depends on what you say when you mean athletic, because I got to see everything CJ did off the field, in the weight room, in sprint drills, and all those things. And I know for a fact I know for a fact that Mark is not putting up those kind of numbers or competitive, like CJ.
Sure.
When we're talking about like vertical and like pro agility times and stuff like that, and the way that CJ was able to compete in our conditioning drills, CJ would often win out of all semis, and he would very often be able to challenge or hang right with all of our skills in condition. So when we're talking athletic, when it translates to playing quarterback and what the Hawkeyes need right now, Mark can absolutely do some things that CJ was not built for. Mostly, the guy's a bruiser. I mean, I'm way less concerned now, 4 games in, than I was 1 game in after seeing him take as many hits as he did. I mean, he ran 13 times for 60 yards the other day, was a prime component in us winning that football game and putting it away at the end. I tweeted about it during the game. It's so sick.
Oh, I couldn't see it. I might need to go back and look at it because I was off. I got kicked out of my Twitter for 3 days.
Yeah, that's tough. It was this very simple tweet. I said it's when they got the pick, and normally Iowa football 3-point lead, you're on their 35-yard line, a couple minutes left. You're gonna run. You're gonna be very conservative. You're not gonna do anything crazy. Normally you're not going to run your quarterback and like get him hurt in that scenario. You're probably going to kick a field goal. Having his ability and the confidence in him gaining first downs and just yardage in general is such a sick thing to have in a position like that, because I bet Rutgers felt like, God, we probably don't have a single chance right now. And it's not too far out from a time where if we would have gotten it into that situation, you're hoping that Drew Stevens can hit a 53-yard field goal to get points on that drive. Just, look no further than the famous Cooper DeJean punt return. Like, we got that ball back on like the 50 or the 45-yard line going in, and we were not able to do anything.
Yeah.
And Minnesota felt great about that because they knew our offense couldn't do anything. Now we have Gronowski. But that would be an interesting debate between CJ and
I'd
Mark.
love to get some times. I need to get from somebody just because I do think they'd be fairly comparable. I feel like CJ, I don't want to say he's more of a burly rock. I feel like Mark is more of a glider than CJ was. Like, like you almost think about, like, I'm not saying it's the perfect equivalent, and I know we'll get back to this, but like, remember Terrell Pryor when he ran? The way he just glided almost. That's more so Mark to me. When CJ would just, from an eye test and like looking at it from TV, he didn't look as, I mean, to be fair, I never watched CJ in person. I didn't cover CJ.
Well, so here's the deal. A lot of what people remember of CJ too is when he was hurt in 2016. And there's a lot of perception about CJ and his ability. And he had like a hernia. His shoulders were beat up. I mean, CJ was absolutely beat up. I think the prime example of what CJ was capable of athletically is the run that he made deep in our territory at Iowa State for like 50 or 60 yards. I can tell you that Mark is not beating his running times in any of that. But what Mark does do is people weren't afraid to hit CJ. CJ wasn't going to run you over. Mark will lower his shoulder, and the man is 235, 240. He's built. And so the way that the defenders pursue and approach him in the tackling aspect of the play is different. He changes the dynamic of how they're a little bit more cautious. They have to take some different angles so that they can hit on a different spot of his body. Otherwise, he will run through you. And that creates the illusion that he has some extra ability. And reality is perception. If he does, he does. What he does to a defense matters. So very fun conversation, maybe one for the offseason.
I'll say this though too, to get back to my original point, which I just remembered, but that was a little interesting debate because again, I think you can go either way with it. They showed Mark on the sidelines like high-fiving every single offensive lineman, hyping up his receivers, thanking them, saying, "I believe in y'all. I believe in you. Let's go out and just do it." And I'm like, this is just a different sort of fire that, again, I'm not even throwing shade at any other Iowa quarterback they've had lately at all. But, like, it's just different with Mark. And I think that Drew Tate, when you talk about fiery and passion, it does something. And Seth Anderson and Jacob Gill have both told me on the side, they're like, dude, like, it gets us, like, go. Like, it just fires us up to go back out there and do it more.
And this win specifically, again, the grittiness, gave up 3 touchdowns. It was a battle from start to finish. They felt like their backs were against the wall. Somebody mentioned it. I don't know if it was you or somebody else in the press conference said several of the players talked about how it provided them a little bit of juice, a little bit of pride that the offense was the one who was able to take this game and win it for the Hawkeyes. This win for the team, and I still haven't put the right words on it. I hope I find it before tonight. The confidence, the battle-tested aspect of this Rutgers game is bigger than I think people are giving it credit for. The fact that they were able to go head to head against a quarterback and some receivers who are absolutely dicing and come out on top and eventually get that pick in the second half, and the defense locks down and only allows 7 points in the last 42 minutes of the game. That does a lot for your mental. It does a lot for the offense's confidence in the defense, the coaching staffs on both sides of the ball being confident in the other side ability to get it done. They flew back from Piscataway to Iowa City on Friday night with a new level of belief in themselves where, they played these guys on the inside. No, they played 2 dog shit teams and an Iowa State team that they were not able to get it done against. They're going to need everything. They're going to need all of that going into this game against Indiana on. And
I think Indiana's the top 5 team in college football.
Yeah, we'll get to that point. This game has drastically changed in my perception, and probably a lot of people's perception. Indiana is the nation's darling right now. I mean, they are. I'm not even sure my thoughts. They haven't collected fully on this game and what it's going to look like in Kinnick on Saturday, but the Hawkeyes are going to need everything that they gained from the Rutgers game to be in the ball game against the Hoosiers. So
Iowa needs prime Kinnick Stadium because this is the first real road test that Indiana is, quite frankly, had. I mean, this is going to be a big test for them as well because you can never play perfect football, right? I'll tell you what, Tyler, they've been damn close to playing perfect football. Like, they gave up 2 rushing yards to Illinois last week.
That's a wild stat.
Mendoza's the favorite to win the Heisman by CBS Sports' latest mock draft that came out. He's number 1 overall to the Cleveland Browns. By the way, Peeper, number 26th overall in this upcoming draft class by CBS Sports.
Jesus Christ.
And he's only started 4 games. But, this Iowa offensive line has been legit. Indiana's defensive line is ultra aggressive. Their defensive backs are good. People thought Kirk was doing coach speak. I 100% believe him when he said it's almost reminiscent of Ohio State. They're loaded at receiver. They have 4 rushers with 208 or more yards. But it goes back to this. Iowa needs to get pressure on Mendoza. Ethan Hurkett, Max Llewellyn, Aaron Graves, Brian Allen, who I think has been close a couple times, has to get home. Iowa has to rattle Indiana. And I'll tell you, this might sound crazy, but you're a guy, and you'll understand where I'm going with this, I think. This is the perfect time to get Indiana.
Yeah.
You don't want to play Indiana a month from now after they've been tested on the road. They're fresh off their high horse right now, and rightfully so. Again, this is not throwing shade at all. I think they're a top 5 team in college football to this point. But Illinois was overrated. But you be a top 10 team by 53 points. I'm not taking anything away from you, right? Feeling themselves, they're the nation's darling, as you said. They haven't been hit with adversity, and that's the thing that Iowa has to do. The scripted plays have to be on point. Iowa has to be aggressive. They have to throw the ball downfield. They have to punch him in the mouth first. They have to make Mendoza's face, be in the dirt. They have to do all these little things to rattle them early to see how they bounce back from adversity. 2 things about Cignetti. 1, I do believe he respects Kirk Ferentz and the program that Iowa's built. 2, that might be the nicest thing I've ever heard Kurt Cignetti say about anyone that wasn't his team. So, it was really funny to me just watching the way he kind of goes about his business. Almost was not quite the same. His mannerisms kind of remind me of Fran McCaffrey a little bit, like his timing of his speech.
I was going to say he reminds me of a Phil Parker combo.
Yes, I think that's a very good combination, I would say. And 3, that he's really not really worried, but he's thinking about if his team's going to have a letdown. And that's part of the reason he said it's going to be a tougher test this week. Now, there's probably part of him that does believe that, especially since it's on the road and we know what Kinnick Stadium does to people. He's probably really happy it's not at night, by the way.
Yeah.
But he's 100% just trying to get his team to make sure that they stay locked into the plan. And that's exactly what he should do.
Was it just that he's respecting Iowa and he's sort of setting the tone and the narrative for his own team and fan base as far as like, oh, it's definitely going to be a tougher test? Because everybody online obviously took that the other way and said, oh, well, this guy, he hates Illinois and does not respect them at all. Like, is there something there with him against Illinois and Brett, or is it just the fact that he's that way? I
think it's Signetti trying to put Indiana on the map because with all due respect, and by the way, I'm one of the biggest Signetti fans out there because I think what he is incredible. It's incredible to flip that program because that is a bottom 5 Power 5 team of all time. But if you go by wins, losses, like that program was dog shit. I'm going to steal a quote from you. Like Tom Allen had a couple of nice seasons. They've obviously improved. But like if you go back in the history of the Big Ten Conference, Tyler, they're bad. Okay, all the resources go to basketball, and rightfully so. We know what Indiana basketball means to that state. This is a top 5 program in the Big Ten over the last 2 years, and they are a legitimate threat to be in the college football playoff again. And when you look at the team right now, they're stopping everybody. Now, again, competition aside, this is like the equivalent of Iowa playing Albany or UMass, right, with some of the schools that they've played. This looks like they ran it back with everybody from last year and saying, hey, watch this. And they're trying to make sure that they know that they weren't a one-hit wonder or a one-year wonder. And the thing about Signetti is once he sees a weak point on offense or defensively, he will relentlessly and unapologetically attack time and time and time again. And that's why a big part of my preview and focus this week, it's on Deshaun Lee. Like, and Jalen Watson, like there is so, and like TJ Hall, I think's proven his worth. Like he's tied for the nation's lead in pass breakups. I think he's been really, really, really good. I mean, Tyler, you go back and watch the film. Rutgers was attacking Deshaun Lee. He's played a lot of football. This is a big opportunity for him to step it up and to kind of regain that confidence. Because I'll tell you, man, like if he doesn't, I do think there are a couple players to where if you're going to make a midseason change in the starting lineup, you're doing it after this game with the bye week at hand, right? And then you go at Wisconsin. This is a big, big week for Deshaun Lee.
Yeah, it's a dangerous week for several individuals, but the team in general, I heard something that I've never heard from anybody respectable say, and it was on Lysico and Doctorman's podcast this morning. Taking my kid to daycare and back, throw him on the car, and Lysico asked Scott, "What are the odds that Iowa actually gets boat raced at home?" And Scott was like, "I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's 50-50."
There's a real chance, man. Like Iowa has to play a damn near perfect ball game. And again, I know Indiana's not Ohio State, and I know they're going on the road. There are certain things that work in Iowa's favor. But I also go back to, you finally have a quarterback that at least gives you a chance.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, with his running ability, but like we know how they've shut down the run. I've seen so much weird shit happen in Kinnick Stadium, and Iowa win games the most obscure way that, like, we always talk about progression, regression to the mean. And I'm not saying that's going to happen against Indiana. Dude, they're so overdue for a big win in Kinnick Stadium.
Yep.
Like, it just does not happen. It's not typically happened under Kirk Ferentz that we wait this long for it to happen again. And I hate using that what-if logic. Oh, they're due. It's the same thing gambling, FanDuel Sports, presented, by the way. That's the worst gambling logic ever, right? Yeah,
it just doesn't. It's not logic. It doesn't have to work out that way. Logically, you think it will revert to the mean, but
I did think the odds would be more points would be in favor of Illinois. And I thought the over-under would be higher. I really did. I'm a little bit surprised.
For the upcoming, you mean Iowa, or you mean
Iowa, Indiana?
Yeah. Let's take a second quickly because David reminded me, and I'm about to skip over all the sponsors who just graciously support this podcast. We are presented by FanDuel. FanDuel, best sports betting app on the planet. I was able to take a little bit of money from them this past weekend. My mic is just going to fall and ruin everything. We will look at some of those lines later in the show. I think, as I heard it this morning, FanDuel had it at 7.5, somewhere around
7.5 by most books, I think, right now.
Opened up lower than that. So again, everything is about Indiana right now. So we'll look at those FanDuel lines later tonight. Shout out to Big Grove Brewery. We will be live there next week, and I'll talk more about that at the end of the podcast. But we're going to be live at Big Grove, myself and Dave and Corey Brada, doing a little combo show there next week. Shout out to the Swarm, man. If we could just pay, if everyone could just donate millions really, really fast, and we could somehow find a way for the Swarm to bring in, like, I don't know. Can we reincarnate Bob Sanders to his 22-year-old self and we could get him? How much NIL money would that take from the Swarm? I don't know, but the Swarm is helping out. Brad is going to come on sometime next week during the bye week and discuss the Swarm and its role in Iowa athletics as it is going forward. But the Swarm is going to continue to be ultra important for the brand of Iowa and to compete and to keep players around on these teams. We'll get to a couple other of our sponsors in a bit. The Signetti foot on the gas, I will stomp your throat. And when you finally die, I'll continue to stomp on your throat just to make a point. Scares me a little bit. They are relentless and they will not give up. And the fact of the matter is a lot of people after this Illinois game are saying, oh, well, it's because Illinois wasn't that good. They're being disrespected. They're getting a lot of what Iowa, a little less, because I think they have some of the individual pieces that are eye test. You can tell they're actually really good. Whereas
keep in mind, Illinois is playing their second string.
Tough second. Yeah, well. Secondary
like
was in a bad
Scott,
shape.
Who's their cornerback one, is out. I think he was out for the game. I can't remember if he's out for the year, so don't quote me on that. I might need to go back and look at that, though.
Yeah,
but they were playing their second secondary.
Yeah. In 2015, we got the most respect of that year when we lost to Michigan State in the Big Ten Championship. We were disrespected for 12 games. They haven't played it. They haven't played anybody. They're not that good. We lose to Michigan State, and everyone's like, "Oh, I was actually for real." And so, a little bit of the same thing with Indiana. Everyone's big thing is like, "Well, how about they play one of the big dogs of the Big Ten? Go beat Penn State. Go beat Oregon. Go beat Ohio State. Then we'll talk, right?" And this lines up as a game for them. And I'm not saying that I was going to let this happen or that it will happen, although I think it could. The odds are better than most opponents that come to Iowa City. This is one of those games where they could look at and say, oh, Iowa, Kirk Ferentz, this program, even what I was put on the board so far through 4 games is somewhat respectable. The program at large is very respectable. This is a second tier Big Ten team right now, maybe third tier, depending on what you want to say. This is a game where we could go gain respect by beating the shit out of them too. Like if we go into Kinnick and win by 40, we're going to fucking do it. And so that could be a tough one if it starts to tumble and snowball away from the Hawks like it did the Illini. And as a fan and someone who covers the team, that's just like, ooh, we don't want that. So again, I think the thing that has to happen is they do have to create that adversity that Indiana just hasn't seen yet. They have not seen a ounce of adversity.
We don't know how resilient Indiana is because they haven't had to be resilient.
Right.
Because they've been kicking the crap out of literally everybody that's been on their schedule.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. And that was the thing about the 2015 team that was so interesting to me watching from afar. It was like, it's not like you guys didn't want to play them. It's like you can only play who's on the schedule. And I do find it funny how everybody continued to like talk about Kirk and how Iowa avoids them. And it's like, the Big Ten makes the schedule, guys.
Yeah, they schedule the out of conference, and we play Iowa State every year, and they were continuing to get better and better. We just play the Big Ten teams that are put in front of us, and that's what we always used to talk about. On X, we got a comment here. Do we think the Hawks get ranked if they beat Indiana? Absolutely.
No question.
Yeah.
Their only loss would be to Iowa State, who was top 15 team right now. I think they're 14.
They dropped back from 12th to 14th in the latest AP poll. They play Arizona, should be a win this week.
Yeah.
So as long as Iowa State stays undefeated, and that's our only loss at Iowa State by 3 early in the year.
It also depends on the mannerisms, which, like, if Iowa goes in there and beats Indiana by double digits, they're probably going to be 19th to
I was going to say the national reputation of just what Indiana is right now after what they just did is enough for, wow, if Iowa beats them. And I don't think Iowa's receiving votes in the latest poll, but they're like right there in the mid to high 30s. They'll jump and people will be like, oh, because if they are to beat Indiana, they're going to do something that is impressive enough where people are like, okay, they're a 20 through 25 team somewhere in there.
And honestly, I might be costing myself a potential AP vote one day. Just kidding. I don't think they'd ever give me one.
I'll do it. They'll give it to me.
I do with all due respect to my colleagues, because there's a lot of guys and a lot of women up there that know ball that do vote in the AP collectively.
A lot of them don't.
They don't know shit.
Yeah.
It just doesn't mean anything until the college football ranking comes out. It's a nice talking point. I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and cite it. It does serve a purpose, but like Notre Dame being ranked after how they started, like a couple of voters, I'm not going to say which ones, moving Florida up after they lost.
I think what has to happen is the AP poll, and I know it creates clicks.
It should be a bunch of national writers.
Get
to sit at home and watch 6 to 7 games at one time instead of because I'll tell you, man, my game days, I don't get to watch much football.
Right.
I pay attention to the scores. I watch the highlights. I keep track on Twitter with some people. But like, I can't sit there and tell you I'm watching 4 or 5 games in an hour. I got to do that last Saturday, and I loved it because the slate was great. But if you're actually working and covering a team, you don't get to watch a lot of football.
The quick fix is 3 things. You implement a situation where, like you said, it's all national writers who just get to sit back and watch as many games as possible. They actually have to watch as many of these teams as possible. You implement a thing where until after week 3, and you've seen teams play 3 games, and you actually know who's hurt, who's not, you don't have this preseason ranking where, oh, so-and-so's number 6 in the country going into this year. Like with the transfer portal and all this stuff anyway, none of that matters, and we don't actually know. And then, and so after 3 weeks, then they come out with a ranking that isn't based on, oh, well, Iowa State started as a ranked team and now they've moved a couple spots.
Correct.
Because if you start a team in that's maybe not that good, but they just start with a non-conference schedule where they win 3 games, you have to move them up. You have to keep moving them up because they're winning. So you implement it. The first poll comes out like to start week 4. And then potentially the last thing to fix that is you implement like a system where you're scored on your ranking. And if it's below a certain threshold, which is a generous threshold for those voters, they come out with that poll where like they get a p-value based on how close they are to the aggregate. If you're below a certain value, 1 or 2 years in a row, you're booted. You no longer get to your vote doesn't count. So you're graded on your voting basically relative to the aggregate votes of everybody doing the poll. So, easy way to fix that. I don't really care. The polls are dumb. So, but that's that. What else do we have? The
Jazz Patterson's out.
Jazz is out. And that's not great. I know a lot of Indiana people were retweeting you and going back and forth with you about kind of retweeting you, putting that out there onto their timelines. Like, hey, Iowa's top running back is out. And then people are chiming in. Well, technically Kamari is our best running back. And I do think he is our most complete back for sure.
He's Iowa's only every down back in my opinion.
Kirk was really praising him this week about his maturity, how he's just fully ready to take on being a first team back, and he can handle it. And he's made so many strides. He came in a small guy and has really bulked up. He can do it all. And he's been very, very close, just like a step or two from breaking really long runs. So from the Iowa side, I don't think anyone's really worried about our running backs. from Indiana.
Get ready to learn Nathan McNeil.
Well, and that's what I was going to
He's
say.
Gonna get some run.
Is you've got Nathan McNeil who's flashed, had a couple good plays, and then Terrell Washington, who when he's been in there, he's made a couple nice plays as well, and has obviously got a lot of ability athletically. So
it's kind of weird to say, dude, but I mean, I think Nathan McNeil's the more mature runner. Like just the way he moves. Like I think TJ Washington at this point, he's still looking for a home run play every single time he touches the ball.
Sure.
And I think that's his biggest downfall. I think Jazz obviously would take it, and he was a couple steps away a couple of times. But he runs through tackles, and he really utilizes his offensive line and the fact that his legs never stop moving. Nathan McNeil, if you watch, even when he got his face mask pulled in the run against Rutgers, like he immediately put both hands over the football. He covered it, had a nice break to the outside, and doing different things that like you just don't see when you're a first or second year back, like typically guys. So I mean, I think has the ultimate green light in terms of he's not redshirting, but. In my opinion, as crazy as it sounds, man, he might have to be Iowa's number 2 back in this game. I think TJ Washington is still just a step behind. I still think he's learning how to be a running back rather than a football player. Because remember, that he was in the receiver room for a little bit, and everybody always talked about how he could play both. I think Nathan McNeil's the more pure running back at this point, too.
And we should feel okay about that. I think we're good with that, right?
You should be. I mean, I don't think the coaches won't put him out there if they didn't trust him.
Right. And it's one of those positions where, there's
Plus
a lot
trial
of
by fire, and his upside.
There's a lot of positions where you just don't see a lot of true freshmen. Running back is not one of those. Running back is one of those, we saw Tyler Goodson. We've seen, even going back towards my time, you'd see some guys hop in there for some depth reps. I think we should feel good about Nathan McNeil. I think there's a lot of exciting stuff there. And I don't even think we should feel horrible about Terrell Washington Jr. being third. I think he provides a lot of upside.
He still has the upside. And again, he's an experienced guy at this point. Like he's continuing to piece things together. Like I don't want to sound like, hey, like he's out of the mix. Like I'm throwing his career down the drain. Like that's not what I'm saying at all.
As a third option, he's awesome.
Yes,
like he's just not a starter right now.
Still no Sanders. He's still projected to be back, by the way, going into Wisconsin.
I was just going to say, still no RVZ for now. We'll talk a little bit about big bodied receivers now, and we'll go toward that Dayton Howard comment you made earlier, play of the game the other day. And really what he did was he gave one back to Rutgers on what they had been doing to us with Strong and Duff. Which, by the way, awesome comment from Kirk about how they probably should have used, and I had to go look this up because I don't know the roster like you do. He's like, we probably should have used Joe Anderson as the mimic guy in practice. And I was like, okay, who's Joe Anderson? Turns out he's a young D lineman who is 6'6", 240.
Yeah.
And Kirk was like, we should have used him as the guy who was playing.
Crazy athlete.
Yeah. And so that's some high praise, obviously, for the Rutgers wide receivers. The passing attack, just as lethal this week. The bodies aren't necessarily so crazy. Kirk kind of mentioned they have like one taller guy, and then they've got a slot guy that's really good. And
Omar Cooper had 4 touchdowns against Indiana State.
Well, you look at what they do offensively, and it's really scary. They are 12 yards off of 600 yards of offense a game. And again, I understand they've played Illinois and 3 schools from D3 basically. That's disrespect to Old Dominion, but
Old Dominion at least kept it close.
They did. They put up a fight. But that 588 yards of offense is not going to hold. Especially they're going to play Oregon next, and they're going to play a couple other teams down the road. But that is really scary. And defensively, again, I don't. It's more of a contain and go toe for toe with. It's not one of those where you're going to be like, yeah, we're holding these guys to, like Iowa State's offense to 16. I don't think you're holding them to 16. Offensively, again, no RVZ. I think Dayton sort of showed what Mark felt good about with RVZ and didn't have in those, up to this point in the season. I don't know what's holding Dayton Howard back. Kirk in the press conference mentioned that maybe, and he hopes this one catch, doing it in a big time situation, in a big time game, is the confidence he needs to kind of take the next step forward, which leads you to believe that like there's something about him that's just like, oh, he's a step behind, or he just doesn't run the route quite right, or he just doesn't come up with the big play when he needs to in practice or whatever. And that's the reason he hasn't gotten as many reps. I don't know if we can afford to keep him off the field if he's going to do stuff like that, or at least he gives us the ability.
Can't.
I mean, he went 1 for 1. He also drew a PI.
He's just physically so much big. Like, he's just physically different than every other receiver in Iowa's room. And I think that's one of his big things. And I don't know if you know this. Did you know that Dayton Howard's only scholarship offer at any level was from Iowa?
I'm not
get NAIA, did not get D2, did not get D3. Iowa was his only offer.
That's crazy.
And he put up some crazy numbers in the KC area. He transferred down there his senior year of high school. Like, I watched his tape and I sat like, Iowa probably got a steal.
I'm guessing Dayton's the kind of kid who started playing football like his sophomore year of high school. That's probably what happened.
I would have to double check that. But I mean, he's again, physically different. He's a big athlete. He did play the third most snaps among Iowa's wide receivers last week.
Hey, now
that tells me, okay, he's going to be on the field, but now are they going to utilize him and take those chances with him? Right. That's that next step. I think he's one of Iowa's better run blockers. And at least when I talked to him yesterday, he seems to have the right approach. Like, I asked, hey, is it tough to be patient when you're getting snaps and not getting the ball? He said, hey, some plays you block, some plays you're going to get a ball thrown to you. Even on that deep pass, he didn't know the ball was coming to him. He told me that there was Jacob Gill on the backside. They kind of boxed him up, and Dayton beat his guy with a double move, and he looked up, and the ball was right there. Like, that's how he described coming down with that catch to me. So, again, that also tells me, and it's great to hear, that Mark didn't panic after that first option wasn't there, and he still threw the ball downfield.
There's a lot of nuance to that being the situation for sure. Mark's comfortability has looked, again, we talked about it. It's gotten better every single week. We were too far behind in week 2 to really have a potent offensive attack, especially through the air against Iowa State, and that's unfortunate, right? And there's no excuses. You have to be ready. We weren't, and Iowa State was just in a better spot. They were further ahead. 4 weeks in, we feel a lot better. And I wonder, I've never been a quarterback. Best player in my hometown was my best friend, and he was our quarterback. So I wasn't ever going to be put in that scenario. I wonder if Mark sees that. You enter a game and you're playing basketball, David. You're at the rec, and you launch a 3, and you see it splash through. How do you feel the next time coming down the court when you get the ball in your hands, right?
Caitlin Clark.
You're like, I'm taking the fucking shot.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not passing the ball.
I wonder if there's got to be some sense of that for a quarterback who takes a shot to a receiver who doesn't. Was that his first catch of the year, or one of?
I think that was the second
catch of the year.
Let me double check.
But
third. I'm sorry, that was his third. By far his biggest catch, though.
By far the biggest catch of any receiver this year. I just have to assume that Mark now sits back there, and if Dayton's on the field, there's a little bit more inclination to go, fuck it, Dayton's down there somewhere. He's
going to be matched up against a 5'11 DB. If you have a 6'5 receiver that does not get pressed on the line of scrimmage, and he has a step, you have to launch the ball.
Brother.
And I'll tell you, it goes back to the quote I've been saying: "Scared money don't make money." You're not going to beat Indiana by playing conservative. You have to launch the football from time to time. You have to keep them honest.
The problem with, and I think Lester's doing a much better job of this because I've seen just, and Mark is just generally a better quarterback than what we've had. Guys are going to be on your receivers. You still have to throw the ball. Like, trust your receiver. Yes, there's a defender on him, but he's not going to be 100% open 100% of the time.
No.
Let your receiver have a chance. Go help him. Let him make a play. And if you don't throw it, you never get to see that. And I think that's what we got to see with Dayton Howard. Obviously, it paid off huge, and I think we just have to do it more. Couple questions here. This would be a good conversation and probably another one for the offseason to really dive into. But I know we got one way up here that said, is this success sustainable at Indiana? And then we just got another one from Marcus on YouTube that says, does Signetti actually stay at Indiana long term? Eventually, some SEC school with more money is going to come calling. Yeah, that is. If you look at Indiana right now, they have zero insecurities about their offense. Their fan base is feeling, their whole team, they feel like they're going to beat everybody by 100. Where they start to get a little chippy and a little bit concerned in their discussions and their dialogue is when people come after the fact that Cignetti's not going to be there very long if he keeps doing this, and that makes them very concerned because he is. Quite honestly, and Kirk had a great answer in the press conference. Someone asked him, like, have you ever seen someone turn it around like this so quickly? Kirk laughed and had to hold back from basically saying, no, nobody's ever done this in the history of football.
Well, especially with, again, where that program was at. Like, it was
they're a bottom 3 team all time.
Yes. I'm interested in that. There's two things that kind of pop in front of my mind. One, keep in mind, Cignetti's 64. Like, this is not a young up-and-coming coach. Like, this is a guy.
He looks good for 64.
He does. He didn't get his first Power 4 job till Indiana. He's also strikes me as type of guy, Tyler, that would say, why would I leave? I can win anywhere I want to go. Indiana does not lack money.
Yeah,
they
that's
haven't invested in football because they haven't had a reason to invest in football. But, like, Indiana's not hurting for cash as far as the donor base and everywhere it goes like that. I think it'd be I don't think he should leave, quite frankly, because right now, hell, they're going to build a damn statue of him outside the stadium with what he's accomplished in 18 games.
He damn near should quit after this year, and he just have.
He's like, all right.
It's really hard to even do the average of his career at Indiana. If he stays there for a decade, and again, I think he should too. I think he should coach. Into his 70s in Indiana, and just because the expectations are never going to be higher than what you could probably do. And for what he's done for them the past 2 seasons, he's already probably bought a decade worth of time. It's hard to imagine. There are going to be some massive bags thrown his way. And as a coach who does have a little bit of that chip on his shoulder, like, Google me, I'll win. It doesn't matter. It's got to be a little bit appetizing to know, oh, shit, there's some SEC. Texas comes calling? Ooh, some of those SEC programs? I mean,
it's all about how much energy does he have and does he want to do it again?
For sure.
Like, that's literally what I think it boils down to. Because, again, think about if he stays another 2 years, a big-time job comes open. You think he wants to leave at 66?
I don't even want to. I'm 30. I'm 31, and I'm ready to hang it up, you know? KF, here's a couple other notes as we wind this down. KF, funny. Hey, I don't have a Heisman vote, but if I did, I'd probably vote for Mendoza. Very similar to like where he's being ranked right now as far as odds. Yeah. Everybody go and check FanDuel for those odds. I don't know if Mendoza is your leader there, but I'm sure he is or close. He says, where do you start on their offense? They get it out quick. It's going to be very hard to get a hand on them. They're super aggressive on defense. And, oh, by the way, they're playing well on special teams too. They blocked a punt for a touchdown. So other than all of that, yeah, it should be a real easy game. And maybe the quote of this is like the low key quote, right? There's always one. There's always.
I know where you're going. Go for it.
Hey, we'd always like to be aggressive. We'd love to be aggressive with the game. They asked him about the game plan. We're always trying to be aggressive. Plans, and he says game plans are based on your players, and I think that's really where you can dig into why KF is the way he is. And why this program has been the way it is. Game plans are based on your guys. He says your guys, number one, your players, and then the opponent. And he talks about how you'd love to be aggressive, but you can't be irresponsible. You can't just be, you can't put the game in jeopardy when there's times that you probably could do that. I thought that was interesting. A lot of people are going to laugh at that and hear KF say that and say, wow, really funny, dude. Like, you're never aggressive. But then he says, hey, it's about our guys.
Yep.
If you can't trust your guys to be the guys who can make plays when you're being aggressive, then you can't be aggressive because you're going to turn it over. You're not going to limit downs, as Leo says in the YouTube. You're never going to be able to limit possessions to the other team if you're just 3 and out every time because you're taking shots and you're never completing them. So there's a ebb and flow here. There's a yin and yang.
Funny enough too. We asked Mark about aggressiveness, and he goes like, Tim Lester wants to be aggressive. Like, people don't realize how aggressive he is. Like, we're always trying to do that. So I mean,
and the other thing about that too is I told somebody on Twitter this. When guys make plays, quickly changes the perception of how aggressive we're being.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Like if
It's the same thing. Like if you do a tight end screen and it sucks, so everybody's like, "Why the hell would you call that? That's just so stupid." If it goes for 30 yards, fantastic.
Yeah. Oh my God, our screen game's amazing. We're pulling out the screens at the perfect time. How aggressive are
we got him on the ropes now. And I get it. Like I get it. But
execution by the players drastically changes the public perception of how aggressive or not we are, irregardless of how we call the game. Like it's, and that's just the way it is. But like you have to take that into account. Where I don't know. Let me give a few more shout outs. Gray's Gourmet to Go is your one-stop shop for anything delicious in Iowa City. You can hit them up for any to-go order this weekend if you're not attending the game, or hell, if you got a tailgate going, please take the time to order some chicken lips to your tailgate. I know somebody sent us a message, an email like, "Hey, why should I go get chicken lips? I don't even know what those are." Haven't done a great enough job explaining what they are. They're basically a nice, big, juicy chicken tender. We'll do more explaining on that tonight when we do the ad read for them on the preview. And then, as I said, Big Grove Brewery is going to be a spot where you can find Corey Brada and myself. Hopefully we can figure out the technicality to that, the equipment, and we can make that a decent little live show for you. Next Friday, we're eyeing 6 p.m. at Big Grove in Des Moines next Friday night. Last sponsor of the day is Hamburg Inn. You can get the savory stuff, the dinners, the lunches at Gray's. You can go to breakfast at Hamburg Inn #2, pie shakes, pancakes, omelets. Run or owned and operated, sort of. He's got a hand in it. Nate Kading, Iowa legend. Go support the boy. Support Iowa City's food scene. And you will never walk out of the Hamburg Inn #2 on an empty stomach. That thing is, you're going to be fully satisfied. It's a great little spot, and it's got a lot of history with it as well. David, you got a prediction for this game? When does the David Hawkeye Insider prediction come out usually?
Tomorrow morning it's going to come out.
Okay, so everyone's going to.
I said I was going to wait till after we talked to Budmeyer, so I got to about here in like 30 seconds.
That's who you got. All right.
So we'll see. I'll leave it like this. Iowa has them at the time they could have best possibly asked to have them.
Yep.
It's at Kinnick. Mark's playing with the most confidence possible right now, and Iowa's overdue for a win. I have not made up my mind yet. I'm not going to lie. Every reason is pointing Indiana, but it also does set up for a weird ass Iowa football game.
David Eickholt, undecided. That's all you need to know. Continue to follow my coverage, the walk-ons coverage, David's coverage all week, HawkeyeInsider.com, the washedupwalkons.com, all the podcast platforms. Thank you guys for joining us. Join tonight on the live stream, the preview.